Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Video Clips. And just a couple of things. First of all, we got the first shipment of COVID Operation in the office today, and we're going to be shipping them out. So some of you have written to me and said, hey, I ordered that book a couple weeks ago and I haven't gotten it yet. Well, they will be going out today and tomorrow. Okay, so coming to you soon. And we do have them here, autographed copies. My co-author and I autograph them if you would like that. And you can also buy them on Amazon, and you can buy them on our website. If you can't download to your Kindle, some people in foreign countries are having trouble with the download in foreign countries. So you can download from WellnessForumHealth.com. There's a button for an ebook. You can't get the paperback that way. You do have to get those through Amazon or through us, but you can download an ebook at our website, WellnessForumHealth.com. All right, a couple of other things. We have all kinds of new classes coming out next year, and we've got a conference coming up in a couple weeks, and it is sold out. But if you would like to watch the conference on video, we will post the videos very shortly after the weekend, and it's the next best thing to being here. And next year, when all this nonsense is out of the way, we'll have a normal conference with 300 people again. But this year, it's a little bit on the limited side because of space in our office and that sort of thing. We moved it here to the office. So anyway, I want to get into today's content. And what I've been doing on Wednesdays, as some of you know, is sharing a little bit about my own personal situation in terms of interacting with people and that sort of thing, how my COVID communications have gone, and friends and people I've lost and organizations that I've been disconnected from and all that sort of thing. I think we're all suffering through this together, and many of you are sharing your stories. And so I want to start with a story from somebody else, and then I'm going to share one of mine that I think is kind of hopeful. I want to end, the reason I'm saving mine for last is I think it has a hopeful tone to it. So anyway, here's the one I received via email just this morning before I videotaped this. And I do like this, doing this several times a week and in this new format. I know some of you like it better, some of you don't, but you know, it does let me be a little more flexible in what I share with you. So anyway, here goes. Thank you for your efforts to educate the public about COVID-19 and other health lifestyle issues. You've helped me tremendously throughout the past 7 months. My mother is very healthy, 68-year-old, thin, eats well, no meds, and she refuses to see my family unless we mask and distance around her. I've tried to share yours and others' information with her, but she's so blinded by the news media that she won't have a discussion with me. I can't bring myself to mask my teen sons and stand 6 feet from my mother when we're all perfectly healthy. My sister is a go along to get along person, and my mother has spent several weeks with their family, but they all wear masks in the house. It's painful to see pictures of my mom and her 3 grandchildren, all in masks, sitting on the couch. A friend of mine has been a surgeon for 25 years. He got COVID and was very ill at home for several weeks. He told me that masks do not work and that they can spread more germs when worn improperly. I shared his information with my mother, who generally respects my friend. She got choked up, told me he was wrong, and hung up the phone. I finally realized that my mother is irrationally terrified of COVID-19, and the mask is some sort of talisman to keep her safe. It's as if she'd found a way to control the fear. Until now, my mom has been a logical and rational person. I realize that she will never accept my opinion about COVID because I do use alternative medicine when appropriate. A naturopath healed my son's allergies. Recently, she told me that all my experts were fringe people. She had no response when I said they were from Stanford, Harvard, Oxford, etc. Fear of COVID has made people lose all sense of reason. Your video about letting go was helpful. Of course, I can't let my mom go, but I realized it's okay to limit my contact until I figure out a way to understand her new personality. This has been very challenging to explain to my teen sons who miss their grandparents. They understand that the COVID response is overblown and have suffered in many ways during the lockdown. My 17-year-old son cried when FaceTiming my mom because he misses her, and he told her that he didn't want to see his grandmother wearing a mask. Until last month, she lived 2 hours from us, and we've not seen her since March 13th. She's driven past my town 15 times during those months. She asked to see us before we moved, but only if she wore a mask and we stood 6 feet away from her. I just didn't have the energy to deal with this the day before moving to another state. I told her that we would be willing to see her when she felt comfortable hugging us. I've had many emotional texts with her. I reminded her that she took my kids for Christmas when I had the flu and they may have been contagious. She cuddled me as a child when I was sick, and last year she slept next to her dying 93-year-old mother who had MRSA pneumonia. I told her my family doesn't even have a sniffle now, and she won't go near us. I firmly believe that good things always come from bad situations. One bright note for my family is we left Northern California, sold our house above asking price, and moved to Idaho last month. It's a bit better here. People still wear masks often, but it's out of obedience and not fear. I never wear a mask and have compromised my integrity a bit by sending my sons to high school 2 days a week in masks. Only one teacher has questioned their blue cheesecloth masks. The California lockdown policies affected most of their activities, school, sports, scouts, friends, work too. So sending them to this somewhat dystopian school experience is okay for them. The school sports in Idaho are mostly normal and they've made friends. We found a church that has regular services. I felt God's presence for the first time in months when I got to be in a real church service. Every Sunday, we get to leave dystopia behind for an hour or two. We can sing loud, stand close, and shake hands. And so one comment that I want to make about this, and I wrote back to this person and said, I think that I just want to congratulate you on taking a stand, because think about how confusing it would be for teenagers to try to reassure them about this whole situation. And then, and we try to, teach kids about the importance of being true to character, how important it is to stand up for what you believe and to be an individual thinker and that sort of thing. And so the go along to get along mentality is not the best thing to teach a teenager. And so I know that this is very difficult, having a family situation like this, somewhat made easier by the geographic distance now, but nonetheless a difficult situation, and I applaud this parent for the way that he's handled it. So for whatever it's worth, I thought I would share that with you. Other people are sharing similar situations to the ones I've shared. So now I'll tell you about mine. Last week I had occasion to speak with a friend of mine I've known for 40 years. We're very close friends, and to be honest, I've stayed away from calling some people because I'm not sure how they feel about all the stuff that's going on, and I don't want people to think that I'm calling them to try to convince them of anything. I really don't want to convince anybody of anything. I mean, I put out information. I think it's important to pursue getting rid of the violations of our constitutional rights and that sort of thing. But the bottom line is I'm really not into making phone calls to people, bringing this up so that I can convince them of my point of view. So that's one of the reasons I've sort of stayed away. But I had occasion to call, long story about that. And I was not surprised to determine within a fairly short period of time in the conversation that this is a person who believes that we're having a pandemic and is very afraid. And a couple stories that were shared indicated that she is social distancing with family and all this sort of thing, following the rules. And I didn't say anything. And then she made the comment that, well, we've had differences of opinion about politics and we survived that. And so I just took that cue. I thought, this is a reasonable person. And I've known her to be a reasonable person. So we just put that aside. And we had a very nice, fairly long conversation, actually, about friends and family and Netflix and movies and some working from home and some good things that may come of this, and stayed away from the elephant in the room. And it was an elephant in the room. I don't have very many conversations with people where this doesn't come up, right? So there was an elephant in the room, but we stayed away from that. It didn't become a problem, and as a result, I did not lose a friend over this. And I think I was just trying to practice what I preach, which is that not trying to convince anybody of anything, and being calm, cool, and collected about the whole thing, and just trying to stay civil, even in the face of disagreement. And disagreement does not have to degenerate into confrontation. It just doesn't. Disagreement can just mean we disagree. And there's enough history here to not let that disagreement at this moment turn into something bigger that we might all regret later. And if everybody could maintain that level of maturity, my gosh, life would be a lot easier for all of us, wouldn't it? So anyway, a lot of what I've shared about what's going on with me personally hasn't had such a happy ending, and I don't think we have the ending to this yet. We'll see what happens over time. But I do think this, I think that the truth is starting to come out, and as more of it comes out, there will be some situations in which we had differences of opinion with people that didn't become violent, that didn't get to the place of complete disconnection. And those relationships will come back together and maybe be stronger than they were before. And for those relationships that completely fractured and went away as a result of this, they were probably going to do that anyway. This just became the catalyst. So anyway, that's my thought on all of this. On Wednesday is sort of personal sharing, and I thought that this person's story was worth sharing. All of these personal relationships and family relationships that we're processing here, we've never had to do anything like this before. It's a new world we're living in, and we're moving toward an even greater new world. And by the way, in the book, COVID Operation, we talk about the subtitle is What Happened, Why It Happened, and What's Next. And we really do get into the what's next and try to end it on a happy note, because I just refuse to believe that it won't have a happy ending. I won't go there. And it's not like I can sit here and manifest happy endings for the world. I'd like to be able to, but we can all collectively do that. Think about ways in which somehow out of the ashes of this mess could come something better. And I'll share more about that later, but we do share a little bit about that in the book. All right, that's it for today. As usual, pass this on to others who you think might enjoy watching it and learning more about all of this. And I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.